Little supportive context, here. Necessity is the mother of invention. Necessity. And the lessons we're learning are very broad lessons in necessity. One thing's for sure is that all of us are especially learning necessity when it comes to our identity. Because of the water trine, we were learning necessity as it relates to our emotional status, our emotional needs, inner child, shadow work, and what needs we have as it relates to these themes. Water trine. The impulses that are catalyzing this or originating what's being catalyzed. Aries Chiron and Aries Ceres. This focuses the lessons of necessity upon the identity. We have to get to where we become the inventors in the age of inventions, the age of innovations. Oh yeah, we're there now. Aquarius Pluto, as you know, is hosting the era of inventors. Invention is not so limited to a device that you can put in your hand, a new car, new gadget. There are technologies of all kind, including technology of the spirit. Let's not forget. And necessity makes us aware of many things. It especially makes us aware of the value of what is essential, of what makes the difference in convenience, security, fulfillment, peace of mind, safety. If we don't experience lack, going without, losing things, setbacks, crisis of I'm not sure when I will have it, I'm not sure of what's around the corner, I have many needs, I pray that my needs will be sufficed, that my needs will be met. These are common prayers of the people. Common prayers. Doing with little. Many doing without. And those who had little who fear going without. These are common lessons. And the lack that presents itself to humanity, it's awakening us to what must be invented, what needs to be invented, what needs to be innovated, what needs to be provided. We don't create, innovate, or invent what's already here. We bring into existence what we say, believe, or know is a need. What can help? What makes life easier? What stops the pain? What brings clarity to the confusion? What would mean balance instead of chaos, order, harmony? We are the ones who are going to answer these questions, and the water trine made us aware of exactly what we need. From where? From a matriarchal standpoint. The matriarchal standpoint, it indicates innovation of society itself. Innovation of the order of humanity in and of itself as humanity, civilization, society. It is a matriarchal foundation, although many times we go astray in patriarchal ideals. Matriarchal is first. The core of the crab, the flesh of the crab, that which is living. In patriarchy, the carapace that protects the sensitive, the vital life force, that goes with the Capricorn defense systems, preservation, an order that allows us to continue on in what's being concentrated at the core. So we all have to experience or even pass through some levels of suffering and lack, sense of deprivation, inadequacies, low self-esteem, doubt in oneself. Minimalism, shortage of resources. These things are generating a depth of compassion. It's also expanding our insight into what should be clarified as our assignment here on earth, as the people, to show up and produce what we really do need. Because no hero is coming. No one's coming to save us. We are. We are coming to save us. And this is how it begins. The understanding and the compassion is generating for the collective. I know what we need because I know what we suffered. I know how it should be because I remember how I suffered. And I am as my brother or my sister is. I have the same needs as my brother and my sister. I have the same limitations and sensitivities in my humanity as my neighbor. We are becoming aware of exactly what needs to change, where the modifications need to take place, and what services that we can convenience ourselves with, And we're becoming sharply aware of how we can alleviate the pain of each other. Every one of us has unique gifts, talents, wisdom, experience to contribute. This relationship are between four obvious points. Because Ceres is one of the impulses at Aries that I'm referring to, that is our awareness of care. Care to the identity, care of the identity, care for the identity. What care do I need that is unique to my identity? How do I nurture and care for and take care of? How do I cherish my identity? What does that take? What do we learn about that? Alignment with truth, acceptance of truth, healing from codependencies and attachments, false expectations and delusions, honoring the inner child, establishing and preserving clarity and trust between the inner child and the self, reverencing the wounds that bore us, honoring what we have suffered and passed through so that we can remember our own compassion, forgiveness for the self that affords forgiveness for others, confession and atonement that keeps the conscience clear and not full of guilt and shame. How do you care for an identity? How do you take care of an identity? How do you protect an identity? Acceptance and incorporation of the shadows, shadow work. Not denying or rejecting the shadows, shadow work. Confronting the shame, Black Moon Lilith. All of these are ways that we care for the identity. Water trine, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Accountability, empowering ourselves not to fall into escapism, keeping in sight of what is real, true, sincere, authentic. Accountability. How do we care for an identity? Fulfilling all duties and responsibilities. The 10th house, forming the character. The ritual at the 6th house that declares who we are and renews that declaration every day. How do we care for an identity? The inevitable isolation that reminds us of the value of solitude, communing with the self, honoring the self, embracing the self, listening to the self, loving the self, but careful of the delicate balance of narcissism, self-conceit, and self-indulgence, self-worship, knowing that service is our access to a higher self. How do we care for ourselves? Chiron, the wounded healer. Inadequacies our mortality, inevitable limitations that we have to acknowledge, accept, and live with in the identity, Aries. Every facet of the self having limitation. Until we learn that through Scorpio, there is always transformation. If we have resilience, if we can brave the truth, if we can allow the ego to die when it's time to die so that it can live again, refreshed, new life. The sun descends, the sun rises. Finally admitting what empowerment really is. It has everything to do with knowing how to die. Over and over again. It hurts when I walk, Chiron. It hurts when I smile, it hurts when I laugh, it hurts when I cry, Chiron. It hurts to be me, Chiron. But what is it about the pain of Chiron? What is it teaching us? Pain reminds you that you are living. It's a sign of life. That pain is a witness to your own dignity. It's a witness to your self-respect and pride. It's a witness of your integrity, your values. It's a witness of your character, your intent, what you believe in. It's a witness that you do remember that Jesus was right. Know ye not that ye are all gods? But to the limitations of flesh, it hurts to be a god. There is wisdom in that. The pain of knowing who you are and also knowing that to love through that identity, to show up through that identity, to persevere through that identity, to demonstrate who you know you are through that identity, it includes many pains, inadequacies, and reminders. Reminders of how frail we really are. From that we teach, because from that we learn. It is both student and teacher in one. How brilliant. Humility prepares the student, and humility delivers the message of the teacher. All in one. And this upon the identity in this phase, in this season. Aries Chiron. So, what pains were there in our identity? Capricorn theory. Unum sanctum. Again, Capricorn theory. Unum sanctum. Pope Bull. 14th Amendment. Incorporated person. fictitious state of self. The one who is unaware of their consent. The one who has not discerned the life in them from the death in them. Civilitas mortuus, the corpse, all caps. Needing an agent to represent him per se. This status, it doesn't feel. It doesn't love. It doesn't know the message of wisdom and pain. Power of transformation. The reach of humility and compassion. The depth of trust. It doesn't know. It's out for the bag. Get money. Status. A new job. Big job title. Name plaque. On top of the skyscraper. Compete with my brother, compete with my sister. Comparison. Ambition. Ruthlessness. Do or die. Dog eat dog. Huh? Come on. What is a life when you're ambitious? I'll take your life. Huh? Leave you dead on the street for $1. I'll give a crack rock to your mother. I'll sell dope to my own people and watch them turn into zombies. Leave the babies to fend for themselves. Leave mothers to raise children by themselves. Yeah, for the dollar. For money, status, power. Huh? I will adopt mindset, spirit, attitude, slogan, anthem, theology, regime, mantra, affirmations that are quite Machiavellian. Bad to the bone. Cold. Dark. What happens when you touch a dead body? It's cold. And that's who we became. Ruthless, insensitive, in full competition. No hot blood, cold blood. Inflict pain on each other, burden on each other, oppression, injustice, abuse. The love of money, root of all evil. 14th Amendment. Fictitious status. Incorporated person. Your consent. Not force, but still unaware of consent. It is painful to come alive. Painful. It is painful to go through the stages of life. How painful was it for you to be resurrected through Scorpio? 9 months, as if you went through the womb all over again. Conception. 9 months. How painful was that Scorpio transformation? To come back alive. To where your blood is now warm. To where the 5th house is your heart. Not a concentration on decimals. Not a prayer on somebody else's downfall so you could get ahead. Not the next sacrifice so you can gain access. Sacrifice of your brother, your sister, your child. Morals. Who needs morals? when you're ruthless, when you have a business ambition to accomplish. Who needs morals? Who needs values? Humanity, what is that? What is that? Means nothing. Absolutely nothing. Such death can cause women to take off all their clothes and walk the streets, make prostitutes of themselves, justify and defend it, and fight you to the death if you dare say something about it. Exalt, praise, raise up high the idea of single motherhood, adultery, fornication, promiscuity. Why not? Drugs. Everything goes. And everything that did go, it went to Pisces. A foam of filth that we had to clean up and dissolve. Subconscious loaded with guilt, shame, burden, regrets. We did an overhaul. The true and living person has accountability and moral commitment. The true and living person embraces their shadow equal to their embrace of their light. Why be shamed in your natural state? The true and living person is always connected to the inner child, reverencing the wombs that bore him or her. The fifth house is the heart. And in there are means to build the kingdom of heaven, to bring it right down to earth. The expression of the inner child. The true and living person has a purpose, a service. Every good about the true and living person blesses others, not just themselves. Every talent, every gift of the true and living person, it is a service. And that service is the expression of unconditional love. When their own compassion informs how it should show up. And behind that was the suffering, our portion of suffering, that made us aware of the depth of our spiritual power. 12th house. Necessity is the mother of inventions. But first, starting with the identity. Collectively, what does our identities need? What will we innovate? What will we originate? What will we improve upon? What will we invent to accommodate our need to preserve our identity, to protect our identity? The matriarchal waters, it needs patriarchal form as protection, not as oppression. Understand? And we'll get into that. This is where creation comes in. The fire trine. Sagittarius, Aries, Leo. Creating upon this wise, what does the identity need? And so, relationships. We are here to innovate how we approach relationships. How we standardize relationships. How we negotiate relationships. How we service and maintain relationships, how we accommodate and honor relationships. We're here to innovate that ideal. Pluto is out of bounds. Aquarius, we all have water in our gourd because we suffered many things. The wisdom is there. What do you have to serve us with? What's in your gourd? What do you have to serve us with? What have you suffered? What do you have to serve us with? We need it. We need your invention. We need your invention for the identities. What is your invention for the identities? Sagittarius Juno, just passing the Juno-Mars conjunction. Venus now steps into Sagittarius, a point of creation. Creation through teaching, education, experience, conviction, and embodiment of truth. What are we creating from this wisdom? What are we creating from what we know and understand? What are we creating from what we braved in order to align and embody the truth that we had to admit, accept, honor? What are we creating? What are you meant to create for relationships? What's your idea? How do you service now relationships in your life? How do you show up now for relationships in your life? How are you leaving the evidence of love, the evidence of compassion, the evidence of that understanding, the evidence of what you have suffered? Where are you leaving it as an imprint, as an effect that you have on others? Bring your inventions. Along this wise, Jupiter, being the lord of both Pisces and Sagittarius, where there's consistency in timeline with Chiron and Ceres and Aries, as I clarified that this is in context of identity. And Jupiter being in the fourth house, Cancer, going back to our origins, our roots, our ancestral foundation, and this individually and collectively, which collectively our ancestral foundation is our moral integrity. Our moral integrity. That is the only thing that makes us civilized. It's the conscience. Honoring it. And the fact that it informs our thresholds concerning our moral obligations and duties to each other. Civics. With Jupiter in Cancer, what we are inventing, what we are innovating out of the lessons of necessity through lessons of lack. Is we're realizing that we are agents of this matriarchal source, the Great Mother, Yameya, who I like to call Yameya, Cancer. We are her agents. And for the fourth house, the clan, the tribe, the nation, the community, the demographic, the household, the village, all of these are included wherever we find where it is appropriate, where it should be expected that we can take off our armor and walk vulnerably in agreement with those of that fourth house experience. That is where we owe an innovative service that improves upon that which you found suffering in. So let it be clarified. We're not to be idle. Let's get to work. Ceres is what ties Virgo to this context. And we know that Ceres is Virgo is at the South Node. And if we call to mind the fact that Ceres is the root of cereal, okay? When we consider the wheat stock of cereal, it's exactly what made us sedentary rather than nomadic. And as nomads, going to and fro from this place to that place, this in context of the identity is that there needs to be groundedness and consistency in who we are. A foundation finally. Taurus full moon is closing out what had us so nomadic and scavenging for pieces of ourself rather than having the privilege and opportunity to embrace ourselves in whole and full. We first had to make a place for ourselves to dwell. Clarify the natural habitat of the self in a Capricorn theory world. Rothschild, Rockefeller, and yes, 1902 General Education Board once again. The very ones who bailed out the Vatican, understand? 13 families. If you know, you know. We were scavenging for portions of ourselves, and now we have what is sufficient to make ourselves whole so that we can be sedentary and solidified in the self. Not leaving portions of the self over here, portions of the self over there. This point of collection of the self was part of the shadow work of Scorpio. I claim this shadow, I claim that shadow. I left this shadow under the bridge, I left that one because so-and-so would have left me. So-and-so don't like me. So-and-so's going to reject me. I'm not going to get a hug, I'm not going to get love if I turn up or show up this way. We learn to get over it. Through Virgo South Node, we learn to let it go. Rising to the ideals of perfection, rooted in an illusion, rooted in a lifeless expression of shadow Capricorn theory, shadow 8. The true and living person with inalienable rights, whose law is equity, Scorpio. Understand? If you know, you know. It's about the harvest, producing fruit. Sixth house. That's what we're here to do. It's why we agreed to come to Earth. So likewise, sixth house, it's time to produce from that conviction. It's time to form the image and character at the 10th house from the conviction of that sixth house Virgo understanding. What are your works? We will be known by our works. What are your works? Letting it dissolve that commitment. To the pressure of being something you're not. Pulling in refinement to the self as proper access to clarify one's own value. Self-refinement, not self-entitlement. Self-refinement, not labels and titles. Cancer, where we learned about necessity, we're reminded of necessity from the core of the self, inner child, where the needs of the self begins and where betrayal of the self begins. Aquarius, Pluto. Society. We, the people. Pluto, the age of invention, innovation, pouring of the water gourds. What do we need? And who's coming to save us? You are. You are coming to save you. And in you saving you, you save us when it is sincere.